So for today's one, just before we start, um, hi Holly, great to see you. Amazing. So you can just visualize throwing up some powder or some glitter or something, or maybe some leaves if you've been gardening, Hazel. And then just imagine the sinking down of whatever it is you're throwing and just letting yourself settle here. And then we can begin. So, like before, we're going to take our attention to the tailbone, and then we'll go up the first energetic channel or one of the energetic channels to the top of the mouth, and then another one as we breathe out down the chest and back to the tailbone, round, under, and back. So we'll do 6 of those. Oh, but before, we'll bless our practice by doing our 6 breaths out. So taking our hands to the belly and then breathing in and breathing out. So in your own time. Great, and then we can take the attention to the coccyx, and as we breathe in, breathing up the spine for 1, 2, 3, up the back of the neck, 4, 5, 6, and breathing out, 2, down the front of the body, 3, 4, 5, 6, back to the coccyx. Breathing in, paying attention to the sensations going up the spine, lengthening, going over the head to the top of the mouth, and breathing out. Going down the front of the body, paying attention to the sensations down, under, and back to the coccyx. Breathing in, filling the lungs as much as you can, and breathing out. Emptying the lungs completely. Breathing in, going up the back of the body, taking the awareness up the back of the neck, over the head, down the face and to the top of the mouth, and breathing out. Breathing all of the air out to the coccyx, breathing in and out. And breathing in, up the spine, round over the head and out. And last breath, breathing in and out. Breathing out all the air. And then breathing normally. Hi Caroline, great to see you. So we're going to do another one, this time going from the belly button, and we will go up, taking our awareness up through the middle of the body to the top of the head and slightly above, and then as we breathe out, just taking it back down through the middle of the body to the belly button. So when you're ready, focusing in on the belly button, breathing out any air in the lungs, and begin breathing in. Up the body, up to the top of the head, and breathing out. And breathing in. Filling the lungs, taking the awareness up to the top of the head and breathing out. Breathing in, taking the breath from the belly button up to the top of the head and slightly above, and breathing out. Breathing in, filling the lungs, stretching the intercostal muscles between the ribs, and breathing out. Breathing all the air out. Breathing in, and out. Last breath, breathing in, and out. Breathing out all the air. Nice work, everyone. When you're ready, you can come to the feet. Okay. And we'll just start off by taking the arms and just relaxing them down. And then you can switch it. So relaxing the shoulders. Just letting them fall down. So letting the swing and gravity take it all the way down. And then you can hit the legs as well if you want. And just noticing whether your body's becoming looser And maybe having that intention and seeing how that affects your body. Amazing. And then we can, again, just having the arms nice and loose. And pushing up from the ground, can massage our shoulders. I love that you're outside, Hazel. So good. And then taking it up even further. Great. We can shake it out and then shaking out our feet. So one at a time, as if we're shaking the water off of our shoes or the water off of our socks. And then coming higher as well. And we can come round, so taking the knee round and then shaking it out. Nice and loose. And then just taking it to each side. And to the back. And then we can take our position here, feet facing forward, nice and relaxed, tailbone pointed under, and then coming in to our standing position, we can expand the body. And here again, just before we start, we can just notice the body and let it sink down. So similar to how we did at the start, taking whatever we want, throwing it up, and then watching it slowly sink down, watching the weight sink down. And then imagining air coming through the belly button and our body expands. And then contracts. Expanding, feeling more space in the body, each part of the body expands and then contracts. Visualizing the air coming in the belly button and our body like a balloon, expands and contracts. So our arms move most in all directions, so up, out, in front, behind, sorry, not behind, but you can visualize every part of the body expanding and contracting. So involving all parts of the body. And then we can expand, taking our arms out. And as we contract, the air coming out, our arms come down. And just going at whatever pace feels good. So it could be a lot faster, it could be slower. And then we expand our arms, come out to the sides, our pinkies are up. And as we contract, our hands come down and the thumbs are up. So just visualize the air coming through the belly button, the body blows up like a balloon. Amazing. And then just taking the arms up and down. So we're going to do a little bit of our walking from last week. And we'll just recap. So standing, taking legs around hip width, and then our weight comes to the front, around, and here. So we have our diagonal round the foot, diagonal round the foot. So our weight, just talking about our weight here. So our weight coming through the center, moving this way. And then for walking, we take it forward, round, diagonal, round. Amazing. And then taking it. So again, beginning, the weight comes round in our figure of 8. So we have our diagonal and our circle. Diagonal, circle. And then as we walk, just taking a couple of steps. And if it feels good, coming back. Great, so how's everyone for our horizontal figure of 8 walking? Everyone feeling all right? Yeah? Sorry, I'll just come so I can actually see. So, okay, so we'll carry on, and if it's just another layer. If you want to focus on the layer we're on just now, just keep focusing on that one, and we'll just go on and just take what you can. So if you remember from our sequence of the center, this exercise here, where we make a figure of 8 with both our center, which is then reflected in our hand. So here, both sides. So we can do 10 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again. 1, 2, nice one, you guys. This looks really good. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here on the floor we have our horizontal figure of 8, and here we have our vertical figure of 8, which correspond with each other. So as we do our diagonal here, we also do our diagonal here. So this figure of 8 can also be split into our horizontals and our circles. So horizontal, circle, horizontal, circle. And what we'll do is as we do the horizontal here, we do the horizontal here. As we do the circle here, the circle here also takes place. So the center comes up and circle, up, which corresponds here. So which basically means that as we do the as we do the horizontal, our center comes up, and as we do the circle here, we just sink the weight into the ground by movement of the center. So we come here, so my center is coming so if that feels really confusing, no worries. We'll just try it walking, because when we walk, it becomes more clear. So if we walk like this, and we're only doing our horizontal, our arms face straight forward. So my arms here are level. However, if we're adding the horizontal, as my center comes up naturally, so we'll do some together slowly. So, ubeshi. So, doing our figure of 8 and just taking your attention to the weight. So taking the attention to the horizontal and the circle. Horizontal and circle. Horizontal and circle. So just feeling on the soles of your feet where the weight is traveling. Just taking a minute. And when you're ready, taking the foot, we're around, we have our horizontal, the weight comes to the front of the foot, we come round, taking the weight to the front of the other foot, weight comes round, and now this time, again we'll take the weight to the horizontal and the vertical. Horizontal, sorry, diagonal circle on our horizontal. So just following the weight on the ground, as if you're drawing, with your weight, you're drawing a figure of 8. And this time, if you feel ready, just taking the circle, taking the horizontal 8 with you, so taking it up, up. So every time you do your circle, just feel your weight sink into the ground. And then from that sinking, you can feel the ground respond, and you just come up with your center a little bit as you do your diagonal. And then here, again on the other side, we just sink a little bit into the ground. And then the ground responds and we come up, sinking, rising, sinking, rising. So rising, sinking, rising, sinking. Great, so I'll just have a little look. So we'll just do our horizontal 8 on the ground here. So we have our weight going, and don't worry if this feels really complicated, this is probably one of the most complicated things we'll do. but it really forms the basis of all the movements. And once you've got it, it makes things easier. So following the weight, that looks great. Nice, Holly. Great, so here, what we really mean by sinking as we go to one side is just a relaxation of the hip. So what we mean as a relaxation or as a sinking into the ground is we just relax the hip. So our hips are staying just on one level as we go around, and the knee also just stays facing forward. So we don't do kind of a circle with the knee or anything. It pretty much stays facing forward, the same as the toe. And all it is really following the weight round. So as we sink the hip down, the weight goes to the back. And then after a while, you can let the center come up and down. So how's everyone feeling? Is there any questions about what we're doing, or is everything fairly clear, or does it feel quite confusing? Good from one person?
Yeah, I find it harder to do when I'm not walking with it than I do when I am walking with it. It feels like my feet want to move when I'm just standing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel the same. And after a while, as the hips open up, it starts to become easier as well. So, great.
Yeah, I just find the same thing when I'm standing still. It's almost like I change direction of the circles that I'm making, and then when I start to walk forward, my circles change. So I kind of feel like I'm not sure which way was which. I go backwards in one way and forwards another way.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I'm going forwards, my circles go backwards, but when I'm standing still, they go forwards.
Yeah, so when we're walking forwards, the diagonals, when you're walking forwards, you can actually do it both ways, which makes it a bit more confusing. So I wouldn't worry, just whatever's working. So we'll just do a few walks together, and then we'll kind of. Sarah, yes.
It's pretty clear what you're saying, but I'm not sure if I'm raising my hips the way you said not to do, and like I'm not sure if I'm able to stop myself from doing that.
Mhm. Yeah. So the reason I said it as well is because it's really common at the start doing it, because it's kind of, we're compensating, or we're making it easier by using less of our muscles by kind of raising the hip and kind of locking it in. But just noticing it, and by noticing it slowly, it'll change. So don't worry. Just start by taking your attention there every now and again, and then it'll become easier to notice, and then slowly it'll become easier to relax the hips. But it's not really about forcing the hip down. It's really just about when one hip is kind of up or one hip is down, just relaxing it down to become even. So So when we're here or we're kind of here, you can kind of pretend you're sitting on something. Okay, so we'll just do 2 more and then we'll move on. Cool. So together, we can begin. And focus first on your horizontal 8. So you can use your fingers, or if you want, you can come here. And then we walk. So coming forward, and we sink in. Amazing. And you can come back. And what might actually make it easier is when to do the vertical 8 is that when we do our diagonal up, we're expanding. So similar to the expansion contraction, we're expanding, and then as we sink down, do our circle, we're contracting. Expanding and contracting. So if that makes it easier, go for it. If it doesn't, you can leave it out. So we can start. And expanding. And taking it in. So we have our layers. We have our horizontal figure of 8, our vertical figure of 8, and then as we do our diagonals, we expand. As we do our circles, we contract. So everything becomes layered, but this is, for me personally, this is some of the most difficult to get my head around for some reason. So if you're struggling with it, it's totally normal. And just with time and practice, it just becomes pretty good. So we're just gonna listen. The body, and then we'll just take the arms further up. And up again. Great. And then you can shake out your legs. Shake out your hips. Shake out the upper body. Great. And you can roll out the shoulders. So coming all the way forward. And then with the chest really open. So really opening the chest and then opening, stretching, lengthening the muscles between the spine and the shoulder blades. So just finding what feels good for your body just now. And you can breathe in and out. In and out. And then breathing in, taking it the other way, and out. Great, and then with the arms, we open the chest, then take our palms, the back of our hands together, take it into prayer position and down. So opening the chest, then stretching the arms and shoulders all the way forward. In, twisting the hands and out. So here our palms face forward, then they twist round. And just doing it at your own time. Keeping the movement nice and fluid. Letting the back open by opening the chest as wide as you want. The fingers come back. And then we change. We lift up 45 degrees. The hands come under. Twist around. Out. Back behind. And then we press on the ground. And we come up. The fingers come down and round. Behind and down. So keeping your movement really fluid. Pressing down. So we scoop up and out. And round. So we're just letting our shoulders open. And last one. And then we take our hands up and down. So taking up and down. So here we're again expanding and contracting and just feeling your body really soft and relaxed. if with your mind you can relax the body anymore, just allowing it to relax a little bit more. We come up with our pinkies first, round and down. Nice job, everyone. And then the same, just opposite, so coming up with the pinkies up, palms facing away, and then the thumbs down here. So we expand and contract. And last one, gathering in and down. And we can shake out the legs. So taking the thighs. If you want, you can also do a stretch. On each leg. And then here, from here, we'll just stretch out the feet. And then we'll bring the heel down, stretch the shoulder forward, and we'll twist. Taking it to the other side, so taking the shoulder forward, taking the elbow here, and we'll twist. And twist. Great. Nice work, you guys. So, just to remind you of the layers, we have our horizontal figure of 8. Then now we've added our vertical figure of 8. So, coming down, then vertically up, and then down. And then another layer on top of that is with our diagonals. So if we split the figure of 8 into diagonals just for learning and circles, we have the expansion and contraction, expansion and contraction. So how is that? Thanks, Deborah. Nice to see you. How is that? Is that kind of clear for everyone? Is that good? Okay.
It's clear for a second, and when you're doing it, I've got it, and then it's gone.
Yeah, it's normal. And when we start looking at the spiral, so next week what we're going to do is we're going to do a sequence, the structure sequence. So we're going to do something different, which kind of really looks at how to move the structure in space, so we can focus completely on how the structure moves in space, which completes the structural part of the cycle. So, and I'll type up all the exercises. Also, if it's useful, I can do a short video of each thing that we covered, so that you have it in a space that's kind of all together so that you can refer back, and then the recordings of all the lessons are there as well, if that makes sense. Yes, Caroline.
The recording, would you do it from the two angles? Because I find it really instructional modeling you and listening.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for pointing. Yeah, I'll do it from two models. I know the depth isn't ideal for video, and I'll just put all the exercises we've done, all the things to do with the structure that you can kind of come back to, have a look. It'll be both in written, and if it feels useful, I'll do a recording and you can just refer and create your own practice, or you can come back. I sometimes find it helpful to look at videos of people's practice so that I don't have to think as much, but just whatever feels good. So yeah, we'll do the sequence of the structure next week, and then we're moving on to the elasticity of the body. So that's a lot of stretching, really about opening. This movement of expansion and contraction we do has a lot to do with the elasticity of the body. For our body to expand and contract, we want the body to be elastic and agile, so that looks like a lot of stretching, visualizations, etc. Yeah, so that'll be good. Does anyone have any more questions about what we did today? Any clarifications? Cool. So we'll just finish off with.
I actually remembered a question I had about the initial breathing. So I did, apologies, I came in a few minutes late.
No, not at all.
So when you're breathing in through your navel, you're bringing the breath up and then above. Are you actually like exhaling from the crown, or are you cycling it back around to the navel? Where do you go in terms of visualizing?
Is it the first ones where we do from the coccyx up, or the second one from second one? So the second one is more actually like a line. So we're following the energetic channel. There's 8 of those. Thanks, Patricia. There's 8 of those, and they don't really have an order, but we do one where we go from the coccyx up to the roof of the mouth. That's one of them. Then there's another one, and then there's another one that goes from the middle of the body to around the level of the belly button. It's in the middle of the body, around the level of the belly button, and it goes to the top of the head. So we're just following the channel. It's more like a line. So we're not actually breathing into the belly button. We're just focusing our attention to the center of the body at the level of the belly button, and then breathing up and then down. And you can go a little bit further than the head, or just to the crown of the head.
You're just addressing your attention, but not the breath. You're not envisioning the breath going.
So as you breathe in, yeah, you're taking the attention up all the way and breathing up, and then breathing the attention down, and it's kind of.
You're not exhaling from the crown. You're then breathing out, bringing the breath back to center.
Exactly, yeah. So, and just paying the attention, as we pay attention, it's just really as if we're listening or sensing the sensation. So we're just kind of taking the attention so that we can feel anything there. So it's both taking the attention and also at the same time listening to the sensation. I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yes.
Okay, great. So with our expansion and contraction, there's another layer of the breath, but it's at the start, it's too much to focus on, so we'll just do this little meditation, this little breathing exercise to prepare us. So
would you preview what it is that we'll be doing later? Just
Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing really as what we're doing, only we have our layer of the horizontal 8, then we have our layer of the vertical 8, then we have our expansion and contraction as we do our, thanks Maria, as we do our horizontals and then our circles, horizontals and our circles, and as we expand we breathe out, and as we contract we breathe in. So it's a lot of layers, and just go from the ground up. So this is as also as you do the form. So for the people who already know the form, like Sarah, these figures of 8 and the expansion and contraction, every movement has an expansion phase and a contraction phase, and every time that we expand our centre goes up, only that in the form the figure of 8 isn't a closed loop like we're doing when we're walking or when we're standing, but it's an open loop, so it can do kind of, it goes wherever it wants, but we do the closed loop to start, to pay attention to it, etc. So to come back to your question, Caroline, it's really just that we add another layer of breathing, but at the start it's a lot to also focus on the breathing, and if we stop and then we hold our breath it's not always ideal. So great, so if you want to make yourself comfortable, you can grab a pillow and if you want you can get a sip of water as well. And yeah, you can just lie down or sit down, whatever feels good. It's for this it's irrelevant. So just wait a second for Caroline and then we can begin. So for this we're really just training the breath for our expansion and contraction. And what we can do is we can just close our eyes and we can either take our hand to our nose, or we can just feel the breath at the bottom lip, or we can take our hand here in front of the face. So just to see that when we breathe out, the air, if we were letting our hand move really easily, our breath out would push out our hands, so push out the way. So as you breathe in, you can feel the sensation on your lip or your hand, and then as you breathe out, you can follow your breath out further away from the body as you breathe out more, and then as you breathe in, as if you're sucking the hand back to the face. So taking the attention in as we breathe in closer to the body, and as you breathe out, taking the attention outwards, breathing in and out. In, taking the attention and breath inwards, and as you breathe out, goes further away from the body. And when you're ready, you can take your awareness to your center. So just a little bit below the level of your belly button inside your body. And as you breathe in, the center becomes small. And as you breathe out, similar to the air coming out, the center follows the air out and becomes bigger, so expands. Breathing in, center becomes small. Breathing out, center expands. Breathing in, center becomes small. Breathing out, taking our awareness outwards.